Hello friends, today we are going to present Introduction to Vectors Lesson 2 as a part of Bridge course for class 11 Physics. I hope you have already gone through Introduction to Vectors Lesson 1, or maybe you might have attended the live lesson for the same. Those of you who have not, I will advise them to go through that lesson 1 which is available in CBSE 042 your channel. The contents of today's lecture are types of vectors, addition of vectors, triangle law of vector addition, parallelogram law of vector addition, and also subtraction of vectors. But we'll start with the study of different types of vectors. There are some special definitions in the unit which you are supposed to know. Equal vectors. Two vectors are said to be equal if they have same magnitude and act in the same direction. As an example, you can see here we have two vectors P and Q. Both are equal in magnitude and are acting in same direction. And clearly they must represent the same physical quantity. You cannot have 10-meter displacement equal to 10 Newton force. Even if they have same magnitude and they may be acting in same direction, equal vectors, they must represent the same physical quantity, should have equal magnitude and should act in same direction. Then negative of a vector. A vector B is said to be negative of a vector A if it has same magnitude as A but acts in opposite direction. We write vector B equal to minus of vector A. As an example, you can see this diagram. We have vector A acting in a particular direction, B equal magnitude but acting in opposite direction. So another pertinent point of difference between equal vectors and negative of a vector is equal vectors, angle between the two vectors is 0 degree. Negative of a vector makes an angle of 180 degree with the vector. Modulus of a vector. The modulus of a vector A means its magnitude. Since it is magnitude alone, it's a scalar quantity and we write it symbolically as A. Recall that vectors notation is bold italic letters. So this letter A represents magnitude of vector A, or we use this parenthesis for representing magnitude of vector A. As an example, if vector A is 75 units east, the modulus of vector A is written as modulus A equal to A equal to 75 units. The direction is to be dropped when you talk about the modulus of a vector. Another special type is unit vector. The unit vector of a given vector A is a vector of unit magnitude, that is magnitude should be 1, and it acts in the direction of the given vector A. So unit vector basically is ratio of vector A to its magnitude. Mathematically you can write unit vector in the direction of A equal to A cap. This is the symbol we use, equal to vector A divided by modulus of A or magnitude of A. We read this as A cap or A hat or A caret. Symbol is the same but we read it in three different ways. Then there are special symbols used to represent unit vectors along x direction, y direction, and z direction. The symbols respectively are I cap, j cap, and k cap. So I cap is unit vector in plus x direction, j cap in plus y direction, and k cap in plus z direction. Likewise, minus I cap, minus j cap, minus k cap represent unit vectors in minus x, minus y, and minus z directions. Then there is a vector which we call fixed vector or localized vector. A vector is said to be fixed or localized if it has a fixed initial point. If the starting point of a vector is fixed, then the vector is called fixed or localized vector. Example, the position vector of a point is always a localized vector. Recall, we define position vector with respect to origin or with respect to some reference point. Accordingly, the origin or the reference point is the initial point of the position vector, and hence it is a localized or a fixed vector. Free vector is a vector which is also known as non-localized vector if the initial vector is, if initial point is not fixed. For example, the constant velocity vector of a car on a straight track. As the car moves, the initial point also keeps on moving. The vector remains in same direction because velocity is constant, magnitude will remain same. It is moving along a straight track, therefore the direction will remain same. But the initial point which will lie on the car will keep on moving. So such a vector is a free vector. Collinear vectors. Two vectors are said to be collinear if they act along same line or along parallel lines. Such vectors are collinear vectors. For example, two vectors acting in north direction will be collinear. Similarly, two vectors will be collinear if vector A acts along east and vector B acts along west. So angle between collinear vectors can be 0 or 180 degree. Like vectors, two collinear vectors are said to be like vectors if they act in the same direction. You can see the diagram. Magnitude may or may not be equal. Here P and Q, as you can see from the diagram, they have unequal magnitude, but they are acting in same direction, hence they are like vectors. Angle between like vectors is always 0 degree. Then we have unlike vectors which act in opposite directions. Two collinear vectors are said to be unlike vectors if they act in opposite directions. The angle between unlike vectors is always 180 degree. Once again, there is no condition on their magnitude. The magnitudes may be equal, may be unequal. The only condition is unlike vectors act in opposite directions. These are unlike vectors, P and Q in this diagram. They are unlike vectors and angle between them is 180 degree. Continuing with types of vectors, we have another special kind called coplanar vectors. As the name suggests, vectors which act in the same plane, they are called coplanar vectors. Co-initial vectors. Vectors having common initial point are called co-initial vectors. You can see the diagram. Here we have three vectors, vector A, vector B, vector C, with a common initial point P. So A, B and C, they are called co-initial vectors. Similarly, we have coterminous vectors. The vectors having common terminal point, they are called coterminous vectors. See the diagram here. Vector A terminates at P, B terminates at P, and C also terminates at P. So A, B and C are coterminous vectors. A practical example of coterminous vectors can be, supposing there are two persons hitting the same nail with hammers, then the two forces will be coterminous forces or coterminous vectors, because the terminus point is the nail. They will almost be coterminous because the force may move the nail slightly. Then another special type of vector is zero vector or null vector. Now, what is the need of zero vector? First the definition, and then we will see why do we define this. It is a vector whose magnitude is 0. It can have any arbitrary direction, any direction you can assign. It is denoted by bold 0, which is also italicized, as is our convention for denoting the vectors. Why arbitrary direction? Because whatever direction you assign to vector of 0 magnitude, it is immaterial. A force of 0 Newton acting on a table towards east, west, north, south, upward, downward will not make any difference because the magnitude is 0. Now, what is the need of null vector? Supposing we have two forces which are equal and opposite, 10 Newton east, 10 Newton west. If you add them, the net force is 0. And since the net force is 0, therefore it has to be a vector quantity. Hence, we define null vector or zero vector. Properties of null vector are: a null vector added to a vector does not alter it. So a vector plus zero vector is a vector. Zero vector multiplied by any real number is zero vector itself. So n into zero vector is 0 vector. Then if m into a equal to n into b, where m and n are real numbers and they are different. If m into a vector is n into b vector, this implies a vector equal to b vector equal to 0 vector. Note, m and n are not equal. Multiplication of a vector with a real number. Now, there are two possibilities. The real number may be positive or it may be negative. For a real number n into a vector is a vector with magnitude n times that of a, and the direction same as that of a if n is positive. If n is greater than 0, then NA will have a magnitude which is n times that of a vector, and the direction remains unchanged. However, if the number n is negative, the direction is reversed. This is important. Say we have a displacement of 5 meter east. Displacement S equal to 5 meter east. 10S will mean 50 meter east, minus 5s will mean 25 meter west. The direction will be reversed if the number with which we multiply it is negative. This is an example. Displacement s is 200 meters south, then 7s will be 1400 meter south. Now we go to addition of vectors. Addition of vectors and subtraction of vectors is different from that of the scalar addition. In order to appreciate the difference, let us subject a particle to two different displacements. The displacement S1, 4 meter east. Another displacement S2, 3 meter north. Let us see the net effect of these two vectors or these two displacement. Is net displacement 7 meter because it's 4 meter east plus 3 meter north. Will the net displacement be 7 meter? This needs to be probed. Let's probe this. So we'll take a particle and subject it to do two different displacements. For the purpose, let's represent 1 meter by 1 centimeter. The given displacements are represented by OA and AB as you can see in this diagram. S1 4 meter, S2 3 meter. 4 meter east, then 3 meter north. Overall, the displacement is OB or S. The net displacement S is clearly less than 7 meter because one side of a triangle is always less than sum of the other two. This is 4 meter, this is 3 meter. S will essentially be less than 7 meter. The net displacement is represented by the directed segment OB, which is clearly less than 7 meter. With such a diagram where angle between two displacements is 90 degree, as you can see, one is towards east and other is towards north. OB or net displacement can be calculated by Pythagoras theorem, and it comes out to be square root of 4 square plus 3 square. That is, net displacement is 5 meter and it is directed from O to B. Since 4 meter displacement and 3 meter displacement, they do not give you 7 meter displacement. So here this example clearly shows that vector addition is different from scalar addition. Please keep this example in mind. We will be repeating it in the coming section. Now, there are some simple special cases of vector addition. Case 1, vectors along same line. There are two sub cases of this first case. Same direction, that is, subcase A is two vectors along same line acting in same direction. In such a case, the resultant of two vectors is equal to their sum in the direction of either of the two vectors. So, vector A is towards east, B is also towards east, then we add them. This we will illustrate with the help of an example. Then vectors in opposite direction. In such a case, the resultant of two vectors is equal to their difference in the direction of longer of the two vectors or larger of the two vectors. Let's illustrate these subcases by means of examples. First example, two forces acting on a body are F1 equal to 50 Newton east, F2 equal to 35 Newton east. We are to calculate the net force. For solution, let's consider this diagram. We have force F1 applied to a block towards east, F2 again to the same block towards east. F1 has a larger magnitude, so it is represented by a longer arrow, and this is shorter arrow. We know we always take a scale to represent the vectors. Here we have F1 equal to 50 Newton east and F2 equal to 35 Newton east. So F net will be 50 Newton east plus 35 Newton east, that is, it will be 85 Newton east. Continuing with addition of vectors, example 2. Two forces acting on a body are force F1 equal to 50 Newton north and F2 equal to 35 Newton south. Calculate the net force. For solution, let's take the block. There are two forces which are implied or acting on the body, F1 50 Newton north and F2 35 Newton south. These are the two forces, F1 and F2. F net equal to 50 Newton north plus 35 Newton south. Since this is in opposite direction as compared to 50 Newton force, the net force will be difference of the two forces, that is 15 Newton towards north. Why north direction? It is the direction of the larger of the two forces. Larger force is 50 Newton. So we have to take the direction of the larger force. Second case, vectors at right angles. This again is a simple case of vector addition. In this case, the resultant vector is calculated by Pythagoras theorem. Let's recall Pythagoras theorem. Pythagoras theorem is applicable to right angled triangles. Here angle B is right angle. So we have AC square equal to AB square plus BC square. That is square of the hypotenuse equal to sum of squares on the other two sides of the right triangle. The direction of resultant vector is obtained geometrically or mathematically. There are two different methods. We will discuss both. Consider the example which we discussed earlier. That is where we had two displacements, S1 east, S2 north, and S is the resultant displacement. The magnitude of resultant displacement can be obtained by the Pythagoras theorem. Now let's take specific example. A particle is subjected to two different displacements. Displacement S1 is 4 meter east and displacement S2 is 3 meter north. We have to calculate the net displacement. This is that comes under case 2 because east and north are two displacements perpendicular to each other. Let's take a suitable scale, represent 1 meter by 1 centimeter. Then the given displacements S1 and S2 will be represented by sides of length 4 centimeter and 3 centimeter. OA is 4 centimeter representing 4 meter east and AB is 3 centimeter representing 3 meter north. O to A first displacement plus A to B second displacement. Net displacement is S or OB. It is given both in magnitude as well as in direction. The diagram is again on your screen for reference. Let's apply Pythagoras theorem. We can write OB square equal to OA square plus AB square, which implies if you substitute value of OA and AB, OA is 4 and AB is 3. So OB comes out to be 5 meter directed from O to B. Now in order to get the direction of the resultant displacement or direction of OB, you have to measure this angle geometrically. Okay? You can take protractor and measure angle theta. The displacement, net displacement will be 5 meter at theta degree north of east. So measure theta geometrically. Alternate method is we can use trigonometry. Tangent theta is AB over OA, perpendicular over base, 3 over 4, 3 by 4, 0.75. So theta will be tangent inverse 0.75. So we can say the resultant displacement is 5 meter at an angle of tangent inverse 0.75 north of east, or theta degree north of east. 5 meter theta degree north of east. Case 3 is the general case where the vectors are at any angle, neither 0 nor 180 nor 90, it can be any angle. We however know that the rules of adding two vectors quantities are quite different from simple algebraic addition. In general, the resultant of two vectors acting on a particle is calculated using specific laws of vector addition. There are two rules. We call them parallelogram law of vector addition and triangle law of vector addition. We will discuss these laws one by one in some detail. The triangle law of vector addition, let's see the statement. You need to be very careful about the wording of the statement. If two sides of a triangle taken in order, we will see diagrammatically what does taken in order mean. If two sides of a triangle taken in order represent the magnitude and direction of the two vectors to be added, the third or the closing side of this triangle taken in opposite order represents the magnitude and direction of the resultant of these two vectors. So two sides in order, resultant in opposite order. Now what do we mean by the term taken in order? Taken in order means the terminal point of first vector to be added should be initial point of the second vector. That is, if you have a triangle ABC, the two vectors to be added are to be represented by AB and BC. That is, B, the terminal point of first vector, should be starting point for the second vector. So AB and BC, these are the two sides in order which represent the given vectors to be added. Closing side is to be taken in opposite order. This will be clear from the diagram. One of the vectors to be added is represented by side AB. Now the second vector is to be drawn from B because end point of the first should be starting point for the second. So the second vector is BC. These are in order AB, BC. And third side in order will be CA. So we don't have to take CA for the resultant. The resultant has to be taken in opposite order. Opposite order. Opposite order. See the statement carefully. So the resultant will be given by OC. This is the resultant vector. So AC is AB plus BC. AB and BC are in order. AC is in opposite order. The resultant in opposite order. The vectors to be added in order. So this is important. Need to see. The other law is the parallelogram law of vector addition. Clearly, we will be using parallelogram and not a triangle. The parallelogram law also enables us to find the resultant of any two vectors. The law is stated as under: if two vectors acting simultaneously on a particle are represented by two adjacent sides of a parallelogram drawn from a point. So here also conditions are specific. The two vectors are to be drawn from the same point. Then the diagonal of the parallelogram again drawn from the same initial point gives the resultant. So both the vectors to be added and the resultant, they are to be drawn from the same point. These are the given vectors P and Q. These are the vectors which we want to add. According to parallelogram law, vector P is represented by OA and Q is represented by OB. The two vectors to be added are represented by adjacent sides of the parallelogram drawn from a common point O. Then you have to complete the parallelogram OACB. Once the parallelogram is completed, the diagonal OC gives you the resultant. R is equal to P plus Q. This resultant is in magnitude as well as direction. You can geometrically measure beta and get the direction of the resultant. Same is possible with triangle law. See here, AB represents vector P and BC represents vector Q. So the two vectors are represented by two sides of the triangle taken in order AB, BC, and resultant is in opposite order. Beta angle gives the direction of the resultant. We have R is equal to P plus Q. The result will be same either by parallelogram law or you use triangle law. Result is not altered. So the two statements are on the screen for your reference. Let's now specifically see how the law vectors are added. Now this will give you a systematic look into how to apply the laws. These are the given vectors. Vector P represented by AB. This is vector P. We are using triangle law here. Vector Q represented by the side BC. And you can observe AB and BC are in order. Extend AB. This is the given angle theta, the angle between the vectors P and Q. This closing side AC, that is the closing side of the triangle or the third side of the triangle, in opposite order. Please don't take CA, it has to be opposite order AC. Represents the sum of the two vectors. This is addition of vectors by triangle law. R is the resultant. The direction of resultant is given by this angle. We can write it as beta. So now let's see this result. How can we get the result? By using the parallelogram law. Vector P represented by side OA of parallelogram. The other vector Q is also to be represented by the side drawn from the same point O, because this is the condition of the parallelogram law. This is vector Q represented by side OB. So P and Q, both vectors are drawn from point O. Angle theta between the two vectors. Complete the parallelogram. The diagonal of the parallelogram from the same point O. So here P, Q as well as R or P plus Q are to be drawn from the same point. R or P plus Q is represented by OC. The direction is again given by geometrical method. This is the angle beta which gives the direction of vector R. R equal to P plus Q is the same and is represented by AC over OC. AC or OC by the two laws. AC by triangle law, OC by parallelogram law. And you can see they have same magnitude and same direction, so they are equal vectors. Take an illustrative example. The point object is subjected to two forces P and Q, each of magnitude 100 Newton, one due north and other at 60 degree north of east. What is the net force acting on the object? In which direction does the force tend to move the object? Let us probe. We are given two vectors. Vector P 100 Newton north, vector Q 100 Newton 60 degree north of east. Choose a scale, say 20 Newton represented by 1 centimeter. Then P and Q both being 100 Newton will be represented by segments of length 5 centimeter each. Now we draw a diagram of parallelogram OABC with OA equal to 5 centimeter and OC equal to 5 centimeter. And the angle between OA and OB equal to 60 degree. This is OB. OA equal to OB equal to 5 centimeter. By parallelogram law, the diagonal OC gives the resultant. Okay, you can measure the length of the diagonal. The measurements show that the length is nearly 8.5 centimeter, equivalent to 8.5 into 20, because each centimeter represents 20 Newton. So 8.5 into 20, the net force or resultant force is about 170 Newton force. If you measure angle beta, you will get the direction. Measurements show that beta is equal to 30 degree. Hence, R, the resultant, or P plus Q, is nearly 170 Newton at 30 degree northeast. The vectors can be added by parallelogram law either geometrically or by analytical method. Having studied the geometrical method earlier, wherein we choose a scale and represent the vectors by sides of the triangle or sides of a parallelogram and measure the resultant geometrically, let's now have a look at the analytical or mathematical method. First, by parallelogram law, the vector P is represented by side OA and vector Q by side OB of a parallelogram. The resultant of two vectors we can find out as explained here. P and Q are vectors acting at an angle theta. The sides OA and OB are used to represent these vectors, and OC represents the resultant R. Let us draw CD perpendicular to OA produced. Produce OA, extend it further and draw CD perpendicular to it. So we have OCD, a right triangle. In this right triangle we get OC square equal to OD square plus CD square. OD square plus CD square. OD can be written as OA plus AD. OD is OA plus AD and CD square as such. Now what we do is we use trigonometry to get values of AD and CD. Using trigonometry we have AD the base over AC the hypotenuse cos theta. So AD is AC cos theta. Similarly CD is AC sin theta. OA we know is P. AD is AC cos theta. CD is AC sin theta. You can use these values. AC is Q. So you get P plus Q cos theta plus Q sin theta whole square. You can open these brackets. The net result will be P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta, or R will be equal to square root of P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. The sum R or the resultant R of the vectors P and Q is represented by OC, and we can find the direction by calculating angle beta. To find out beta we define tangent beta. Tangent beta is CD the perpendicular over OD or CD over OA plus AD. Substituting the values used here earlier, the value of tangent beta comes out to be Q sin theta over P plus Q cos theta. We know that the vectors can also be added by triangle law, which is similar to the parallelogram law. So we are quickly reproducing the diagrams and the explanation for your reference, that is addition of vectors using triangle law. This I am leaving as an exercise for you, which you will write on your own. It is being reproduced here, and we are just rushing through this. This is a method, the geometrical method, to actually find out the resultant both in magnitude and direction as explained using the parallelogram law. The analytical method of getting the resultant of two vectors. We get R mathematically as square root of p square plus q square plus 2pq cos theta root. The direction again is obtained like in parallelogram law. So this is being reproduced and you are advised to write it on your own using the diagrams here. Now coming to next important part, the subtraction of vectors using triangle law. You are given two vectors p and q. You have to find p minus q and q minus p. That is, you have to subtract vector q from p and p from q. These are two different questions. One of these is explained here. The subtraction of vectors is similar to addition of vectors as illustrated. The vector to be subtracted, that is q, is reversed to get minus q, and we add minus q to p to get p minus q. For solution, let's consider vector p, vector q, the given vectors. Vector p represented by AB, q represented by BC. Now to find p minus q, reverse q. Theta here is angle between p and q. So angle between p and minus q. BC dash is minus q because BC has been reproduced in opposite direction to get minus q. Angle between p and q is theta. Angle between p and minus q is 180 minus theta. Now p and minus q are represented by two sides of the parallelogram, AB and BC dash. AB and BC dash in order. Therefore, the closing side AC dash gives the resultant or net effect of P and minus Q. So AC dash represents R dash or P minus Q. So R dash is P minus Q. It is represented by AC dash. Direction of R dash is given by angle beta. Angle beta gives direction of R dash or P minus Q. Analytical also we can find out the difference between two vectors. The only thing is the value of angle theta will now be replaced by theta dash or 180 minus theta. That's the only change to get the difference between the vectors. Determining q minus p is left as an exercise. So what you will do is, here you will take q and reverse direction of p. P will be drawn in opposite direction. Subtraction by parallelogram law is again similar and is being quickly reproduced for your reference. Take vector P represented by OA, Q represented by OC, reverse Q to get minus Q, angle between P and minus Q is theta dash. Now what we have to do is, we want P minus Q, so we will add OA and OB dash, because OA is P and this is minus Q. We will complete a parallelogram with OA and OB dash as the sides. the diagonal OC dash will give us P minus Q, both in magnitude and direction. This represents P minus Q or R dash. This is subtraction by parallelogram law. So the difference is OC dash. Theta dash is 180 minus theta. So this is an analytical method. Showing addition and subtraction of vectors by parallelogram law of vector addition. Direction given by angle beta dash. Here are some problems for practice. You may take a screenshot and try these problems. There are a number of subparts of these problems, and solving them will give you a thorough insight into the addition of vectors and the subtraction of vectors. Preferably try them analytically as well as geometrically. You may subscribe to our YouTube channel CBSE 042 to get notifications about the videos to be added in future. Your feedback is welcome. The mail ID is on your screen. You may visit our blog www.physicsbeckons.wordpress.com for more topics. Wish you very happy learning. Thanks for watching. Coming up next will be introduction to logarithms. Subscribers will be notified accordingly. This is in continuation, next part of physics bridge course for class 11. So those students who have just passed class 10, they are advised to follow the physics bridge course for smooth transition from class 10 to class 11. Subscribe and share the channel.